you whispered my name from halfway round the world on a small island dotting the South Pacific. It sounded like the plop of a single hydrogen atom as it hit the ocean at supersonic speeds, ejected from a solar flare. The ripples generated blared out 3D through the Pacific. I saw your hair, wavy black, peppered with strands of white, unravel from the tapestry of the multiverse. In still another verse, in a parallel verse, we are the same soul, sharing a trillion billion bodies. In still another, I answer your call with a quiet yes. Hi, my name is Bill, and this is 999 Show. And again, we are embarking upon National Poetry Month. It begins next Wednesday. And if you have not participated in National Poetry Month, maybe now is the time. In National Poetry Month, what the goal is to write one poem a day for 30 days. And so if you are a writer or you haven't written for a while, this is your chance to dust off the pen and get back into gear, because a lot of times poetry manuscripts are created in National Poetry Month. I have created several poetry manuscripts myself, only one of which made it into, actually there's two that made it into books. One was not officially, it wasn't officially published, but I did welcome Maria. It was something that I sold at an art fair like 3 years ago. I made, and so that was a project that I started during the National Poetry Month. It took me a little bit longer to finish it than I had planned, but I did get the genesis of that manuscript started in the National Poetry Month. My book, Found on Bathroom Walls, most of the poems in Found on Bathroom Walls came out of a National Poetry Month poem a day challenge. And so we're just kind of talking a little bit about different things that one can do, that one can do in this poetry month. And so one of the poem styles that we're gonna do two today, and one of them I just I don't know, everything has been done before, but we'll what we'll do is we'll look at, let's say, page 90 of a book, and we'll take the first line out of it. But maybe it won't be that one. Maybe I'll use some of these books, and we'll say on page 46, some 46 of a random book, we'll take the first line out of that. You'll jot it down, maybe you'll truncate it down a little bit, and that'll be the first line. And then you go to another book, page 46, and you write down the lines, and you're just going to stitch this together. It's going to sound pretty random. Maybe we'll pare down lines. We'll just edit it a little bit to make it consistent. And there's your poem. Maybe you go like 10 books. You take the shortest line on page 46, and then you call it your poem. But before we get started again, I think I want to read. Let's go. I'm going to go to. This is a book that I picked up several years ago by a slam poet called Big Papa E. And this is his little book called Pretty Girls Make Me Sad. I met him once, but I had heard his poetry before I met him, probably a good year or two before I met him. I actually I had bought on an MP3 album some of his audio poetry. I loved his poetry in that time, and we're talking about the time period of like 2008, 2009. I know it was before Seattle Door window closed up, because I know that's when it was. And but anyway, here is a poem from page 46. Next door neighbor girl walking her dog says hello to me. The energy drinks just make me fall asleep with a rapid heartbeat. The side effects of my antidepressants are giving me the blues. Nothing's on TV. Press ear to apartment wall. Woman sings softly. That's page 46. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget that we're going to be talking about something from page 46. Page 46. I'll just write it down on this page over here. Page 46. You know, it's also really important that you actually do write this stuff down by hand, because handwriting things really, the body is actually very well geared to handwriting things, and it helping to stimulate your creativity more so than writing down on a screen or using electronic devices to do that, which I've done it both ways. But I think for the purposes of poetry, handwriting things with a pen or pencil in a notebook is the best way, the best technique to proceed. And so we're going to go on to another book, Taylor Mali. Taylor Mali. Taylor Mali is a slam poet who I think he was featured in Slam Nation, a documentary on slam poets. And Taylor Mali is he might be retired by now, but a teacher from in the Bellevue School District. I met him once at a poetry slam when I lived up in Seattle. Interesting guy. Interesting guy. But let's go look to, does this go up to page 46? This one doesn't go up to page 46. This one only goes up to page 20, 27. There's a Sestina. We're just going to go to page 26. We'll go to page 26. You know, that's close enough, right? Now, I wanted to, I know that some, I got, let's see, what is that message there? It's some ethnically Jewish. You know, I am not, I am, do I look Jewish? People have thought I look Jewish before. But if you're there, Cam Gust, I am, what am I? I'm, my father was a full-blood Swede. My father was a full-blood Swede. His mother immigrated to America in the 19 teens, and his grandfather immigrated in the 1880s. In the 1880s, and then I have a German relative who also, their family immigrated to this country in the 1880s, and then the other line of my family goes back to the Mayflower, to John Howland and Elizabeth Tilley. Ethnically, am I ethnically Jewish? I don't know. If you think that's what I am, but my my DNA test says otherwise. My DNA test says otherwise. Anyways, that's that. And that anyway, it's not. What difference does it make? But we're looking at this every time. This is a poem by. You believe me, but so I just look that way. It must be the hair. But you know what, Cam Gust? I can tell you something. When I lived up in Seattle, I would walk by the synagogue every day. And one day they had this little card table out front, and a guy came up to me and he says, "So when was the last time you came to synagogue?" And I says, "I don't know, like maybe 500 years ago." And he kind of looked at me puzzled. Well, you know, there was some rumors there, and I said, well, maybe I had a relative in the past, in the past who was, you know, maybe he was forced to convert to Christianity, or was hiding because being Jewish in the Roman Empire, in the Holy Roman Empire, was people got burnt at the stake for being Jewish or whatever. But I when I did my ancestry test, there were none. It was no there was no Jewish in the background at all. So that's just my story. I just said no. It's been, I people have thought that about me by just how I look. But it's just I think it's just it's the it's the blending. No, no, I don't. It's the blending. I work for myself. I am self-employed. So it's the blending of the Swede, the German, and the English. So I what I have in me is I have English because the John Howland and Elizabeth Tilley roots. I have zero indigenous blood in my genetic tests and zero Jewish blood in there. And so you don't have to feel bad. You're just asking a question. And so it's the what word am I thinking of? It is the blending of German, Swedish, and English together. The confluence. It's the confluence of German, Swedish, and English together that 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 makes me appear other than I am. Then I have these eyes that are deep. I have these Arctic eyes, and then there's my Arctic eyes because of my ancestry that is Swedish Viking that lived above the Arctic, lived above the Arctic Circle, and so these are Arctic eyes. So it's the eyes. So the Arctic eyes are these narrow slits that so they're when you're looking out over a snowy landscape, having eyes that are wide open, you can hurt your eyes that way. And so the Arctic eyes, these slits, help you to see better on a white landscape, a white, snowy white landscape. And that's the story I'm giving you. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's the story I have made in my head for why my eyes are slits. Okay? So let's get on with this. Let's get on with this. Let's get on with this. So the confluence of all these factors together, all these four white skinned people together, Anglo-Croat, but not as Croat as you. Okay, so you have the Irishness. And evolution becomes an evolutionary advantage by having slits that are eyes. But then again, you have people who, like when I was a child, who said, "Oh, are you Chinese? Your eyes are like slits. Oh, you must be a Chinaman," and whatever. And I got that when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and I'm thinking, where the hell do you get Chinese out of this? But that's just that because my eyes are slits. But here we go. We're going to page 26 on this book, The Wedding Stone by Taylor Molly. I'm just introducing this. And we're going to just go over an acrostic poem, and we'll go over this other poem style. Or I'm just going to take a line from a book, and then this is just to show you that you can write poetry, that there are these ways to write poetry when maybe you never thought you could write a poem before, but you can be creative because human beings were created to be creative beings. We were created, and one of the gifts is that we can create, and that is the strength of humanity, is to be creative. And so, like, for instance, and that is if you, like, let's say, take a look at Crow, our brother Crow. Our brother Crow uses uses in their peeps and beeps and so forth. So I look like a movie director, very well. I'm just putting this jacket on. I have all these clothes that I never use, and used to have a lot more hair, but anyway, the crow, the blackbird that flies around, crow, they believe has language because they pass information down, and they've demonstrated this in some experiments, that they've demonstrated that crows pass information down to offspring. So therefore, they have language. Maybe not a language that you understand, but they have a language that they understand. But these crows, they use tools. They take little sticks, and sometimes the little sticks have hooks on them, and they put them into holes in the trees to pull out aphids, and they pull out grubs, and they pull out worms out of trees in order to better feed themselves. And so they're using tools. That's an act. That act is an act of creativity. And so life using things in their environment to better their lives. Welcome, Care Bear. Welcome is an act of creation, an act of creativity. And so, if you are, let's say, you're looking around in your life, and you put something together that you don't think that ever anybody else has done. Well, you are using your creativity to make your life better, because people do this all the time. And so this is just one form of creativity: writing poetry, doing creative writing. It is an exercise of creativity and using gifts that you were born with. You were born with the gifts of creativity. And so on page 26, this poem reads, "Every time that I notice a digital clock reads 12:34, 1, 2, 3, 4, be it the middle of the day or the dead of night, my first wife comes to visit and wonder at my life. She slightly tilts the family photo to the left and right where we've hung them on the wall, not out of spite, but as a way to say at once, hello, goodbye, I just stopped by. Remember the night we made a bet about who would be the first to die?" Oh, that's a pretty deep poem. And I think about that. So his first wife died. That's a great poem. And then that's Taylor Mawley. Now, I'm going to read a poem by Jeff Bailey. Jeff Bailey. And some of you know Jeff Bailey. And let's go to page 27. Now, let's see what is on page 27 as well. Well, 27 is the end of a poem. And so we're going to go back to page 26. And the poem is, It was written when something hurts to write about it. That's a good line. I'm going to write that down. When something hurts to write about it. If you're just still watching in, nope, nope, no, no, I don't know. I don't really like that. I'm not in a register, if that's what you were thinking, but we'll put you in timeout. Oh, let's go 10 minutes. Okay, so if anybody out there would, Maria or anyone, want to go take a book out and look on, let's just try page 27, and that's write down a line from page 27 in any random book that you got. You're welcome. It helps transmute the pain. So is that also another one from you? Is it help transmute the pain? transmute the pain. Okay, all right. So on page 27, or actually it's this page 26, it was written, she took my hand to write our story. She wanted her coffers filled, and on to me her first blackmail, a mere ruse, implied threats to sell me down the river, all because of ill-begotten reviews. It was written by the tensions in my teens, the repression of having to cover in front of someone else who was the perpetrator of the abuse. Something else which I had to play off as if I could never be part of the scene. It was written all as though it were fly by night, always predictable. As with you, my adrenaline rushed, but there was no flight or flight response. It was written. I, the nerd spaz, could not fight back. That's why at almost 50 years I am, as it was written, susceptible to flushed adolescence when you win by theft of my compassion, of my composure. You see through my words, which on a screen are to your disapproval. And suddenly those words are bereft, not to say it was written. I am your conquest, if as imagination has revealed, I can let my words out and put a new lease on life, a weakness. Then maybe it is written, karma will eat away at you as you write your life in reviews. Okay, so Maria doesn't have any books in her apartment. That's kind of odd, but anyways. So let's just get now. Do I have I was like looking at one of my books. I have one of my books here someplace. I thought I brought it in. What the hell did I do with it? Oh, that's right. I put it over here because I was like looking in it. This is one my book found on bathroom walls. I am completely in a different place in my life at this time, and so none of the ideas in this book are reflective of the present day me, but they did reflect a past me that was hooked on South Park and hooked on things that made me laugh. And when I was before my father passed on, I laughed a lot at things that were in here are things that I laughed at, all that I found funny. And let's go to page 27 in here and see what I can find. Something starts at page 27. All right, page 27. Love Poem Attempt 1. Love Poem Attempt 1. And I can remember that my girlfriend at that time, the cayenne pepper, I recall a pepper. Okay, is that on page 27? That's all that's something else from Care Bear. The cayenne, Kayanne, the cayenne pepper, I recall a pepper. Oh, that's from a book of mine. I recall a pepper. All right, that's funny. Okay, so it's this poem. I wrote this poem on page 27. First off, I wrote it as I remember I was working in a job as a shoe salesman. I was working as a shoe salesman, and I had just gone to a lecture that was of a Native American talking about the oral tradition and how in the oral tradition mind, that the mind, that people write, that they would write differently, that would write completely in their mind, speaking things out loud and memorize it. So this poem here, for the most part, was written. I am a transhuman, if you want. No, no, a transistor, transistor, trans. I don't have a Trans Am, but I've always wanted a Corvette. A Corvette was the car that I always wanted, not a Trans Am. I've had transpersonal experiences. I do transpersonal experiences are things that where you transcend yourself, or a sense of transcending the self is a transpersonal experience. Have I shifted from one? I am a cisgendered person, but I know you're there for trolling. Yes, but that's fine. That's fine. It is spring break, Care Bear. It is spring break right now. It was spring break last week. You know, spring break. You know, it's not as long as you don't come onto one of my shows and you show your wanker like somebody did last week. Maintenance. I had to delete the whole live stream. But anyway, here we go. What does that word mean? Can you define that word? Translopeak. What is that? Translopeak. Let's see if I can get a definition of that. Translopeak. Is that a bad word? Let me find that. GRANSALOLO. Transitioning into something better. Trans L O P E P E C I A P E C I A. Definition. Oh, well, this one, it didn't give me what it says. I'm transitioning into something better. You know what? I'm going to write that word down. That's a word that we're going to be adding in. We'll use as a poem type. I'm going to write that word down. ALOPECIA. Transitioning into something better. Is that what? I couldn't quite find that word. Can you define that word for me? But you know, we're adding to the poem. We're adding to the poem as you put something in the chat, and I will make a. Oh, you made me laugh. Okay, all right. That actually sounds like a good first line. You made me laugh. You made me laugh. So I'm probably not going to get to the acrostic poem today because we're in 29 minutes. But I'm going to read this poem, and then this is something that I wrote in 2004. I wrote it about a coworker of mine who I only heard her voice on the phone. She was in another location, and I would, she was very beautiful. I had a crush on her. But nevertheless, I still thought she was beautiful. Add sir because you like it. Okay. All right, let's get going. This is called Love Poem Attempt 1. It takes hours, buckets of cold showers to erase your signature from my mind. I'm in a bind. How do I make this rhyme? The next verse could be something like this. quivers, shivers, fevers, levers, beavers, burning hot magma, melting innards, gizzards ejecting stones, bones, demonstrative, gooey-eyed, beanbag chairs? No. What is this dribble that I scribble to you on the page? Beautiful, sexy babe. Oh, I love that thing you do with your tongue. Through my ear, tickling my brain. The squishy wetness is kind of queer, when in fact you aren't even here, but talking miles away on the telephone. The delivery is getting bolder and bolder. Okay, I think I delivered the whole thing. So we're gonna go. We're gonna work on this poem here. Hats off to you. We're just gonna use. I'm just gonna use stuff that is in the chat. Stuff that is in the chat. Okay. And and then just to show you that poetry can be found anywhere. Now, so National Poetry Month begins on April 1st. It's one poem a day for 30 days. And so if you want to participate, you're free to participate. And this is a national thing. Maybe it's only national for certain people, but if you're a poet, you certainly may have heard about this challenge. One poem a day for 30-day challenge. And as I said earlier, when I first started this thing out, that many people have taken the April Poetry Month challenge as a means to write a poetry manuscript. And it doesn't matter if you get it published or not. You have risen to this challenge and you have created something out of your mind because you are in a bind, struggling to make this thing rhyme. All right, let's see what we have in the chat, and we are going to I wanted to use as a first line, you made me laugh. I like how that line is. You made me laugh. You made me laugh. And you listen to that, how it sounds. Then what is the next line? You made me laugh. When something hurts to write about it, that's what I tell my niece. You made me laugh. When something hurts to write about it. When something hurts to write about it. You made me laugh. When something hurts to write about it, it helps. When something hurts to write about it, I tell my ideas. When something hurts to write about it, ideas just come to you. Ideas just come to you. Ideas just come to you. Bolder and bolder by the delivery. Bolder and bolder by the delivery. Delivery. bolder and bolder by the delivery. Translow. Let's see, what was this one that's held for review? Trans fat. Okay, I like that. Trans fat. Some bolder and bolder by the delivery. Trans fat. Transpersonal, transpat. Let's just put that in here. Transpersonal, Personal, transpersonal, transfat. It doesn't make sense. Transfat, transoLOPECA. Transitioning into something better. Translopica. So bolder and bolder by the delivery. Transpersonal, transfat, translopica. Transitioning into someone better. Transitioning, ITIONIN, transitioning into something better. Let's just read over it again and let me see. Do we have a no, we're not going to be having drug things here. Well, actually, water damage on the wall. Why do you go through water damage on the wall? Okay, let's see. It's actually that's a sheet. That's a gold sheet. A gold sheet. It would be water damage on the wall, but it's actually a yellow gold sheet. So let me just go to the. No, I'm not. I'm not a professor in literature. I just been writing poetry for a long time. Looks like water damage on. Okay, something better. Water damage on the wall. I like that. We're gonna put that in here. Water damage on the wall. Let's see. I gotta see how I can put that in here. So let's go back. Let's go back to the top. What we have so far in the poem. Now, these are all your words for the most part. They're all your words. So you made me laugh. When something hurts to write about it, ideas just come to you. Bolder and bolder by the delivery. Transpersonal, transfat, translopica. Transitioning into something better. Water damage on the wall. Water damage on the wall. Water damage on the wall. Cools. Let me see. Where to go from there? Where do I go from here? Professor in literature. Water damage on the wall. Purchasing. Ideas. You know what? I don't want to use ChatGPT in this moment. This is an exercise where we're not going to be using ChatGPT. We're just kind of to compare it with my work. We're just kind of writing random line poems right here. This is sort of a William S. Burroughs kind of a thing. William S. Burroughs was a champion in doing this type of poetry, cut-up style poetry, is what we're doing. purchasing water damage on the wall, purchasing meds to change, purchasing meds to change water into wine. You made me laugh. When something hurts to write about it, ideas just come to you bolder and bolder by the delivery. Transpersonal, trans fat, translow, pica, transitioning into something better. Water damage on the wall. Purchasing meds to change water into wine. Sandpaper. Your words feel like sandpaper on my. Your words feel like sandpaper on my heart. On my heart. Okay, so that maybe that paddles were banned for a punishment after you finish. Well, we had paddles when I finished. They did. I remember them doing whippings. Paddlings like all the way into high school. All the way when I was into high school. But okay, this is the poem that we constructed here from the chat. I constructed this pretty much from the chat. You guys were my inspiration. All you guys inspired me to write this poem, and just to demonstrate that this is how easy it is, how easy it can be to write poetry. Now, granted, I've been writing poetry since 1989. No, 1987. I've been writing poetry since 1987. And when did the paddling stop? I don't know. I think it stopped after I graduated from high school. I graduated in the mid 80s. And so in 1987, I was in college. And so that is when I really officially started writing poetry, but I was kind of a slow, when I really turned on the gas writing poetry. When did the paddling, your words feel like sandpaper on my hat, on my heart? When did the paddling, water damage on the wall, paddling, purchasing. I like that. Let's put that word paddling in here. Paddlin. Paddling, purchasing meds to change water into wine. Your words feel like sandpaper on my mind. Actually, it rhymes with mind instead of heart. So this is the poem that you guys helped me to write from your words in the chat. Jason Bender, welcome. All right, and here's the poem. You know what? Can I do it this way? Let's see. I'm going to show it to you. Let's see. We got that cable right in the way. There's your poem. My handwriting is bad, and I'm going to read it to you. You make me laugh. When something hurts to write about it, ideas just come. Bolder and bolder by the delivery. Transpersonal, trans fat, translow pica. Transitioning into something better. Water damage on the wall. Paddling. Purchasing meds to change water into wine. Your words feel like sandpaper on my mind. Okay. There we go. It doesn't quite make sense, but with some editing, with a little editing, this poem can be made better. And so I'm going to call this poem number 1. It's pre-poem, pre-National Poetry Month poem. And at the end of April, I will come and share all the poems that we write. I want to do next week to do a workshop. I want to have some guests come on, if I can get them to come on. Otherwise, we'll just do this commando, do this whole freestyle way. This is our pre-poetry month poem. So I want to do an acrostic poem. Now, acrostic poems, and I think I'm going to turn the camera down for this, and so you're not going to see. I'm going to turn it down on the page, and we're going to do an acrostic poem. And I always like to start in National Poetry Month with acrostic poems. acrostic, acrostic. People used to come to me to fix their writing when I was small. I see. So let's just take a word. Let's find a word in the chat, and we're going to create that poem from a word in the chat. So you spend a lot of time talking about, we got sandpaper. What about, let's do 2. We'll do 2, and then we're going to wrap this thing up, because I got to go. It's nice out, and so I'm going to go try and mow my lawn. Okay, so the first word I want to use, I think I like sandpaper. Let's go SANDPAPER. So with an acrostic poem, you take the word and you lay out, and so each line is going to begin with this letter. And now the other one I think I want to use is the word paddling. We have PADDLING. And so with that, PADDLING. And I think what we'll do is playing with the lawnmower. Yeah. Well, the lawn's getting really quite high, but the weather has been kind of not agreeable. So let's just take this like this. I'm going to turn the camera straight on down, and we're going to go at it this direction here. We're going to go at it this way. And so this is an acrostic poem. An acrostic poem, so we have the first letter, and so the first word I used up here is sandpaper. Sandpaper and paddling. Now, if you are doing a more advanced form of an acrostic poem, your meaning, the meaning of an advanced form of an acrostic poem is that the whole meaning of the poem would be the word that you wrote down, but it does not have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. So we're looking at sandpaper and paddling. And so for this, I got a book here that should be very helpful in helping us to construct this poem. And so this here is just a 20,000 words is used to help with your spelling. And so we're just going to go down into the word S, and we're going to just find a word that we're going to start this poem off with. So we're going to go with the letter S, and let's go to S. And so these kind of word books and things like that, rather than using ChatGPT or using, the internet or whatnot, Using books like this that have books of words, it really helps to expand your consciousness out so that you can expand your consciousness, expand your creativity, to open up doors so you can be a more creative writer. Because you can see that you can go down and you look at these words and you find something interesting. Sandpaper, secrete, section, seasick. Seasick on the seaside. Seasick. 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 Seagulls. Seagulls. Spatter. Splat. SPLA. Splatter. Goo across what sadistic is what the first sadistic seagulls splatter goo across sadistic seagulls seasick seagulls sadistic seagulls. That's a good line. I like that. Sadistic seagulls splatter goo across the deck of the ship. The deck of the, let's go to N. Let's see what we can find for N. See what N is. The deck of the nozzle. The deck of the, well, let's see, the deck of the fishing boat. Mad Libs, that'd be too funny, yeah. Sadistic seagulls, we're going to put that in there because that's Karen's edition. Sadistic, SADISTIC. Sadistic seagulls splatter goo across the deck of the I want to use a different word. Noxious fumes. I need another word. The deck of the what? Of the deck of the pool. The deck around the pool. How about that? The deck around the pool. The deck around the pool. Okay. Sadistic seagulls splatter goo across the deck around the pool. That doesn't quite make sense. The deck across the deck around the pool. The deck by the pool. The deck by the pool. Okay. Noxious. N-O. I saw that word noxious here. N-O. Noxious. There is a second word down. N-O-X. N-O-X-I-O-U-S. Noxious. Noxious. So sadistic seagulls splatter goo across the deck by the pool. Noxious fumes. Noxious fumes. Pickle. 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 Dumb. No. Noxious fumes. Pickle. I'm trying to make this fun. I don't know if this is fun or not. I know that poetry is boring. It's always usually it's all I had two channels before this that did nothing but poetry, and so because I did poetry YouTube in like 2014 and 2015. Pickle, noxious fume, pickle, bathers, swimmers, bathers, the party goer, pickle party goers. So we might only get to one poem here on the acrostic style. Sandpaper, statistic seagulls splatter goo across the deck by the pool. Noxious fumes, pickles, swimmers. Dirty disapproval. Dirty with disapproval. Dirty with, I like that. Dirty, discolored, disapproval. Dirty, discolored, disapproval. Pandering, paddling, let's use that word paddling here. Paddling swimmers. Paddling swimmers. Paddling partygoers, huh? Like that. Pickled peppers or pears. Pickled swimmers. Dirty, discolored, disapproval, paddling, guess, paddling guess on air mattresses, paddling guess, GUESTS, on air mattresses. On air mattresses. Pee in the pool. On air. Pee in the pool. In the pool. Then we go to E. Let's go to word E. Something different. Eruptions of laughter. Eruptions. Eruption of laughter. Break the tension of reality. Break the tension. Break tension. And then start with the R. Eruptions of laughter. Now we go to the R. We might have time to do 2 of these poems. Just to show you how respond to the moment. Respond to the moment. Okay, so let's just read that. Let me just read that again. Maybe we'll rewrite it on the other page. Respond to rowdy. Respond to the moment. So we got Sadistic seagulls splatter goo across the deck by the pool. Noxious fumes pickle swimmers, dirty, discolored disapproval. Paddling guests on air mattresses pee in the pool. Eruption of laughter breaks tension, responding to of the moment of the moment of what? Eruptions of laughter in the moment of to the moment. Do I need to explain it? To the moment of to moments beyond control. Respond to moment beyond control. Okay, I like that. To moment beyond control. So if we were to rewrite it, let's just rewrite it over here. We're looking at sadistic seagulls. Seagulls splatter goo across the deck by the pool. Noxious fumes, Noxious, noxious fumes pickle noses, pickle noses, dirty, discolored, disapproving swimmers, paddling guests, on blue, on discolored, air mattresses, MATRE, mattresses, pee in the pool, Welcome. Hey Jeff, I read one of your poems earlier. I've read one of your poems at the top of the as an example, because we're starting on disembarking on National Poetry Month. Would you like to next week? Would you like to come into the show to be a part of maybe constructing different poem types? Maybe we'll do like cross out, cut out poems exercise next week, next Thursday around 4:30 or so. I think you can come in at 4:30. Pee in the pool. Eruption of laughter break tensions. Eruption of laughter. Laughter. Laughter break Break tension in the wind. Tension. Break tension in the wind. In the wind. Respond to the moment. Respond to moments beyond control. Okay, there we go. What do we have over here? Yeah, okay. We'll just leave it there. That. So we got is sadistic seagull splatter goo across the deck by the pool. Noxious fumes. And so the word is sandpaper. And that's the word we're using for the acrostic poem. Sadistic seagulls splatter goo across the deck by the pool. Noxious fumes, pickle, noises, dirty, discolored, disapproving swimmers, paddling guests on discolored air mattresses, pee in the pool, eruption of laughter, break tensions in the wind, respond to moments beyond control. Okay, all right. There we go. Then we have this other one, paddling. 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 Okay, what can we do? Can we have time to write one more? Paddling. So let's go to P and find a nice P word here to starting. Puissance. Pulley. Okay, pull over. Pulsation. Pulverize. Pumice. Pulsate. Pulsating. I like that. Pulsating. Pulsatin. Pulsating. Principle. Pulsating principle. Pulsating puckering lips. Pulsating puckering lips. Puckering lips. Reach around. Go to the A. See where we can go from here. I'm just demonstrating in this, if you're just tuning in, I'm demonstrating in this how using books and so forth to write poetry is pulsating, puckering lips, achieve, acquire, absorb, pulsating, puckering lips, absorb, absorb, avocado juice, absorb avocado juice, that's great. Absorb, C-A-D, avocado juice, dripping down lips. Avocado juice. So I don't know. Avocados don't. They got some juice, don't they? It's like fat. Absorb avocado juice dripping down blue lips. No. Um, clown lips. How about that? Dripping down clown lips. We need a D word. Defection, defendant, decrease, defense. Dominate. There we go. Dominate. Dominate. Dominate delusions. Dominate delusions. Lived. Paddling. Pulsating, puckering lips, absorb avocado juice, dripping down clown lips. Puckering lips, clown lips, clown, not, maybe that's too many. Puckering lips, dripping down clown lips. No, I need another word. Clown. I want another word. Not clown. Clown liminal. Clown space. Clown faces. Clown mouth. Clown face. Dominate delusions. Love. Love. Romantic love induces, 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 induces in denial, DENIAL. Paddling, pulsating, puckering lips, absorb avocado juice, dripping down clown face, dominate delusions, romantic love, induces in denial, neutered cats, neutered. How do you spell neutered? NUD. That looks like a good word. Neutered. Okay, there we go. Neutered. NEUTERE. Neutered. Manhole. Neutered manhole. In denial, neutered man, whole, manifest, neutered manhole, manifest, something with G, neutered feline past its prime. Induces in denial, and we'll just write that word down here. Neutered, NEUTERED, feline, past its prime. Word that start with G. Jocular, HI. Neutered, manifest, HIG. Inappropriate. Let's see. Oh, I'm on the wrong side of it. It's G. It's not. It's G goes before EFG. Okay. No wonder why I can't. Graceless, graceful. So let's just find a G word here. Groping, manifest groping, This is really spiraling out of control. G-R-O-P. Groping goose neck hands. Groping goose neck hands. Okay. All right. Let's just read that. It's fun. We're having fun here. That's what this is all about. So we got the word paddling, and paddling was some guy in the chat. He's probably not still here. Submitted the word paddling. Somebody submitted the word paddling. Jen Pie, poetry about paddling, and there we go. A poetry about paddling. Pulsating, puckering lips absorb avocado juice, dripping down sad clown face. Dominate delusions, romantic love induces in denial. Neutered manhole manifest, groping gooseneck hands. All right, so let's go. I want to go back to what I wanted to do, that one poem style that we want to start with before, where we choose a page number and of some of these books, and let's just go with some of these have. This one has like 46 pages in it, and some of these books have less. So I want somebody to choose a number between 5 and 40, but some books didn't have that many. Some had less than that. A number between 5 and 20. Let's go that 5 and 20. Let's get a number between 5 and 20. 29. I said 5 and this book didn't have 29 pages in it. This one only went up to this book here only. Well, wait. This one went. This one went up to 28. So you want to go 11? Okay, we're gonna go. This is called. This one exercise. We're gonna call it page 11. Page 11. Okay, page 11. All right. So we're gonna do page 11. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Let's go to page 11 then. All right, page 11. Does this one even have a page 11 in it? So that's page 13, 12, 11. So this is page 11. You always said 28, which is kind of wild. Yeah. It took me many years. It took many years. Okay, that's the first line. It took many years. So what we're doing in this exercise is we're taking a line in a book, a part of a piece of the line that's close to the top of the page, and then we'll maybe the whole line or just part of the line to show you that you can go, that this is also a legitimate method of writing a poem, and you're using this to gain inspiration. You can also go in and so let's say go to this book next. We're going to go to this book next, page 11. page 11, and this one is, I have not read this book yet. I've read pieces of it, I skimmed it. So page 11, chapter 1. It took many years playing cards. See, I like that. I like how the word rhythms is, like with the other poem, is you made me laugh. You made me laugh. It took many years playing cards. It took many years playing cards. Let's go to page 11 over here, and let's say if we have a line. It took many years. If you're still here, Jeff, here is your book, Some Good Writ, by Jeffrey Bailey. It took me many years playing cards. Their petty complexes convinced them. Playing cards. The high horse they rode. The high horse. The high horses, H-O-R, high, H-O-R-S-E-S, the high horses they rode. The high horses they rode. Page 11. Went right to page 11. The high horse. It took many years playing cards. The high horses they rode. You might be interested to know. You might be interested to know. You might be interested to know. Let's go to page 11 on Pretty Girls Make Me Sad. New stuff by Big Papa E. And this is actually, this was signed. My shirt is amazing. I wonder what shirt that one, and that's the author's signature. I remember, I think it was in 2010. I went to that. Between 2010 and 2011, I was able to go to the slam, the Seattle Poetry Slam, almost every week, because that was when that was at the heart of the 2008 depression, and in February 2010, the door and window business that I was working at collapsed. And you might be interested to know what love is. It took many years playing cards, the high horses they rode. You might be interested to know what love is. I'm going to do this anew. What love is. What love is. And now we're going to go someplace else. This here is a poetry journal, magazine, book that I had published other people's poetry up until, like, what, 2015 or so? This is the Seattle. What love is. She cackled like she always did. It took me many years playing cards, the high horses they rode. You might be interested to know what love is. Like she always did. When he said what love is, when he said. When he said. When he said. And so we have a lot of I still want to get this guy on the show here and interview him someday. Anita Cluth. And people that I journeyed with for years. Charlie, Sharon, Mike Saul, Morris Stegosaurus. He was an interesting guy. Man, this guy was wild. Yeah, and he was into some wild stuff too. Be cool to have him on the show. Morris Stegosaurus. Yeah, I miss that guy. All right, so those are those ones, and let me go on and get another book. Okay, look here, The Postman by David Byrne. Now let's see when he said. Let me see where we're gonna go from here. Does this have a page 11 in it? When he said their tracks were familiar, what love is, when he said their tracks were familiar. Familiar. And when their tracks were familiar, found on bathroom walls. Go to page 11. Because on page 11, there's not going to be any dirty poems. It goes right into the index. Page 11. When he said their tracks were familiar, monsters have blue eyes. Splattered across a mirror. When their tracks were familiar, splattered across a mirror. I like that. That works better. Splattered. Splattered across a mirror. Okay. That's that. Now we gotta go. This poem's not done yet. I need some more words, some more page 11s. We gotta finish this poem off. It would be cool to have him on the show. Morris Stegosaurus is not doing performance poetry anymore. And I don't think he would come on the show. I think he's doing music, though. The last time I talked to him, he was doing music. I guess we could go into one of my own books. Let's find, what do I have on page 11? Splattered across a mirror, windows and doors open up. Windows and doors open. Windows and doors. Yeah, it is. But I think he's doing mostly instrumental stuff. Windows and doors open. Let's get some. I got more books. I got them. And let's go to this one. Gods from Outer Place to get page 11. If I can find a page 11 here. That's windows and doors open up. Windows and doors open up, the Lord of creation. I'm just showing you, demonstrating this method. The Lord of creation. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on to other books that I have in my, what is next? Oh, wait, let's go to this book. Let's go to this book. No, Charles Bukowski. How can we forget Charles Bukowski? No poet is worth his weight in anything who hasn't read several books by Charles Bukowski, who isn't familiar with Charles Bukowski's work. So we're going to go to page 11, and we're going to use Charles Bukowski if he has a page 11. He doesn't have a page 11 in his book. So what do we do in this case? Because this is the Lord of creation over the years, directed windows and doors open. The Lord of creation directed, outlined, over the years, established. No. Towards the future, progress, public. Let's see. This is a pretty boring, but officer in charge. Windows and doors open. The Lord of creation over the years. The Lord of creation established a tradition. Lord of creation established. Established. I'm just going to leave it at that word, established. Because that's really all there is that it can be used on that page. I know I have another book here someplace, I think. Oh, that's not. Oh, before we go on, you know what? I was like, talking last week. I was talking about, let me see if I can find it. Files. I think I have it in here. Pictures. It was a picture of me. I believe I have it in this. I downloaded, I think, because, yeah, okay. Here's a picture of me in high school. This is what I look like in high school. I was like 17 when this picture was taken. I wore a trench coat all the time, and they called me the Flasher. And here's a picture of me reciting poetry when I was in my late 30s at a place called On the House. Here's another. This is my my midlife crisis picture, and yeah, midlife crisis picture. Let's see, some of these pictures people don't want to be on here, so. Oh yeah, and this is me. This is me, and this is my office numbers when I was working at the door and window store. I worked in the bookkeeping department, and look, they gave me an office number from an article on your counter. This is so I had office number 69. I was on office number 69. Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun. I liked working there. That was a fun. I was let's see. There's this one's kind of fuzzy, but this is me again when I was in high school. In high school, that's my sister, and she was also in high school too. Just young kids. Um. Oh, Maria. This is a picture of me in my mid-20s. And that I sold that guitar. Um, I sold that guitar. I wish I wouldn't have sold that guitar. That was one of those guitars I wish I wouldn't have sold. Um, and that's a friend of mine. He lives in Minneapolis. Oh, you picked out some phrases. Oh, good, good, from page 11. Great. It is a good article about the art and how it's feeling established the art of diplomacy. I'm going to put that down here. Established the art of diplomacy. Diplomacy. Crushing on me. Well, that's not me. That's not me. That's one of my friends. It's not me. This is a picture of a poem or something that I wrote. I remember trying to remember when I used these style of. Oh, these were erasable pens. A customer came into town. Okay. See, I wrote it, writing. This is me and my. I read from this book all the time. I like this picture. My Gospel of Thomas book. I have this Gospel of Thomas book here. It's right down here. So in that picture, I'm reading from this book. That's this book in this picture here. Okay, you got to run. So I included your line in the poem here. I'm going to come back to this because there was something I wanted to show you. Because I talked about, let me go back into the past here, and I know I have it in here. It was, let me go back into the past. Into the past. Maybe it's not here. I guess it's on Facebook someplace. Oh, it's not here. That's unfortunate. Here's my father. And there's me and Dad, and I was a kid, just a young teenager then. Young teen. My dad was he was that kind of a guy. I was looking for a picture of me with this girl when I was like 20 years old. One of my girlfriends. I was hoping it would be in here, but I guess it's not. Then there was this guy, and the Seattle guy who during like spring and summer would run around with leather underpants on and this harness thing on his back and these black boots. And he had on his back the website to his business. He was a photographer. Y'all look alike. He was a photographer. Now, this is a guy with a Komodo dragon. I kind of knew him too. I used to go to this park all the time, but this guy, that was just like funny. The guy with the leather underpants. Seattle I just got the biggest kick out of Seattle because there were so many weird people. So many weird people in Seattle. Of course, I was one of them too. One of the many weird people in Seattle. Let's see let's just go look at one other picture here. I guess we can't find it. Oh yeah, Halloween. We got Halloween there. All right, thank you. Thank you for participating for a few minutes here. Nice picture show. I just kind of lost everybody with the picture show. So let's see. Let's take a look at this poem and see where we're at. Page 11. It's called. It took many years playing cards. High horses they rode. You might be interested to know what love is. When he said their tracks were familiar, splattered across the mirror, windows and doors open. The Lord of creation established the art of diplomacy. But we need another stanza. We need one more stanza, and then we can wrap this thing up. Let's go over here to Joseph Campbell, page 11. Find something in here that we can use. Oh, look, it starts on page 11. With unprejudiced eye, one becomes aware. One becomes aware that maybe that works. The art of diplomacy, unprejudiced eye. I'm going to do that. Unprejudiced, reviewing this unprejudiced, unprejudiced eye. I'm having a hard time saying that. Unprejudiced eye. Okay. And then we go down to another book here. The Hidden History of the Human Race. 3 people are here. It's just Maria and Jeff, perhaps? Maybe Jeff isn't here anymore. And we'll go the evidence. Let's see what we can find in here. This is a very boring book, I'm sure. I've actually read it a long time ago. Page 11. Unprejudiced eye, incised, the dawn of deception, broken bones, the dawn of deception. Broken bones, the dawn of deception. Page 11. Continuing on to one of my favorite books. And this one is about transpersonal experiences. Earlier in this presentation, when somebody brought up I brought up transpersonal experiences. This book is all about transpersonal experiences and how, for the most part, how our sacred mythologies have come out of the transpersonal experience. Okay. Unprejudiced eye, broken bones, the dawn of deception, the real presence, the dawn of deception, the real presence. Find the real presence. Let's go put that in parentheses. Find the real presence. Presence. The real presence. Find the real presence. And I'm moving on. I got a big giant stack of books right beside me. We're going to the Zohar. The Zohar. Nine, 10, 11. The real presence pushed to the extreme. Pushed to an extreme. Pushed to an extreme. Degenerating. Pushed to an extreme. I'm going to take one more word like I like that word, degenerating. 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 Okay, that's that one. We're going to go into, let's take this book, page 11. Page 11 here. This is Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings. And let's see what we can find. I'm just really demonstrating to you in this poem, I'm demonstrating to you that you can use any type of book to do this poetry exercise. That you can find poetry anywhere. Poetry can be found anywhere. I wonder where page 11 is at in this book. There's page 9, 10, 11. Degenerating what this means. And there we have it right here. I'm using this phrase here. What this means. Degenerating what this means. Okay? Let's go back and read over the whole thing because it might be done. So, it took many years. Playing cards, the high horses they rode. You might be interested to know what love is. When he said their tracks were familiar, splattered across a mirror, windows and doors open, the Lord of creation established the art of diplomacy. Unprejudiced eye, broken bones, the dawn of deception, the real presence pushed to an extreme, degenerating what this means. I never thought of that before. I never thought of that. Take care. You look a lot. Take care. Care. You look alike. You look alike in the mirror. You look alike through a door, through an open door. You look alike. I never thought of that. Take care. You look alike through an open door. That sounds like a good last line. But let's go. Maybe we can find the last line in here, my Sunday Missal, page 11. You look alike, page 11. We might not have a page 11. No, there's no page 11 in this book. You look alike on the bathroom wall. I never thought of that. Take care, you look alike on the bathroom wall. On the bathroom wall. Let's find one word on page 11. On bathroom wall, page 11. Anyone, anything, anyways, anywhere. You look alike on the bathroom wall. Anywhere. Apostate. Appalachian. Apocalypse. Apologetic. Apologizing. Apology. Anyone on the bathroom wall. Anywhere. Let's just read over this again. It doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense. But we're talking about page 11. It took many years playing cards, the high horses they rode. You might be interested to know what love is. When he said their tracks were familiar, splattered across the mirror, windows, doors open, the Lord of creation establishing the art of diplomacy. Unprejudiced eye, broken bones, the dawn of deception, the real presence pushed to an extreme, denigrating what that means. I never thought of that. You look alike on the bathroom wall, anywhere, any place, anywhere, any place, any place, in time. In time. There we go. You guys all helped me write this poem. I was just showing you and demonstrating how easy this creative process can be. Now, granted, I have been writing for a very long time. But National Poetry Month, I'm going to just turn the camera up and back. National Poetry Month, which is April, is your opportunity. It is your opportunity to rekindle the creative process. If you are a person who has written poetry in the past, it is your opportunity to rise up to the challenge of writing one poem a day starting on April 1st. It is your opportunity to engage in your mind away from the screen or with the screen or with books, with the paper, to engage in the creative process to make something new for yourself. Perhaps even a poetry manuscript that you can turn in to a publisher for a poetry manuscript competition. You can go through your poems and you can rewrite your poems, and you may have something that you can present to the world, because you never know until you begin writing your word on the page what will come of it. Anyways, this is 999 Show, and we're kicking off National Poetry Month with this first exercise. And what we did here is we did an acrostic, and then we did the page 11. And with the acrostic poem, and I'll go back and read the acrostic poem, and I used words from the chat to create this acrostic. And acrostic means essentially you take the word like sandpaper, and the first letter of the word begins the first line. And so, like this one, sadistic seagull splatter goo across the deck of the pool, noxious fumes, pickle noises, noses, dirty, discolored, disapproving swimmers, paddling guests on discolored air mattresses, pee in the pool, eruption of laughter breaks the tension in the wind, respond to moments beyond control. And then the other poem was with words from the chat. Words from the chat. And you guys there helped me write these poems. And without your input in a chat, I would not have been able to write this poem at all, because you matter. You matter. And we are doing this exercise together. And this will close this session out with "You made me laugh." When something hurts, write about it. Ideas just come bolder and bolder by the delivery. Transpersonal, transfat, translopica, transitioning into something new, water damage on the wall, paddling, purchasing meds to change water into wine. Your words feel like sandpaper on my mind. And those are good poems. Those are really good poems. I mean, fantastic, but they're a good start. So anyways, I'm on here a lot, like 2 hours now. I didn't realize I was going to be on for 2 hours. But next Thursday, we're going to do another one of these workshops. And hopefully, if I can get some people to come on the show with me, maybe not next week, maybe the week after. And we can go through an exercise together, because one of the ones that would make a great group exercise is great, like these are circle poetries. We are going within a like cross out poetry. Good exercises. Let's find this one. I like this one. Like this type. This is cut up and paste. I need to get a glue stick before I can do this one. So this is a good one. This would be a good poem, a good one to use as a group exercise. Each person crafts out their own one. Take a magazine or a newspaper, and you just cutting out words, and you arrange them on your page, glue them down, and you got a poem. And these are just many different ways, things that you can use to jumpstart your imagination, to create and to write. All right, that's all I got for today. I'm going to be back Friday night, and I think we're going to be talking about mythology again, mythical stories, but I really kind of want to talk about that mythology really starts with ourselves, and how we define ourselves and how we project ourselves in the world. And so that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. on Talk to Me. I don't know if I'm going to oh, we'll see. We'll see what we'll do. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow night. Maybe I can get a guest on. I'm going to try to get a phone guest. And because the mythology of the mind, the mythology of the self, and how we project ourselves into the world. And I think that that begins with a story, and we create these stories in us. And the person I have in mind to think about this has a good story to tell. All right, that's all I got. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Care Bear. Thank you, Tarot Ask Backwards. Thank you, all the other people who came into the chat to say hello and to participate. Jenna P. Thank you, Jenna P. Thank you, Trolls. And thank you, all the rest. Come, Camo Guest. Thank you, too, for being here. And we'll see all y'all the next time. It's 999 Show. Bill signing off. Like and subscribe if you like my content.